Welcome back. In our last legal aid segment, we talked about a significant court ruling that was rendered in February of this year, which solidifies the law related to uninsured and unauthorized drivers. Of course, it remains a very timely topic and conversation, and we're very pleased to be joined by partner at Providence Law, Ms. Nadia Wright, to continue that conversation. Good morning and welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah. Let's recap a little bit. What was the legal impact? What legal impact does this ruling have, and doesn't it refer to a recent Privy Council decision which would have also impacted the Court of Appeals judgment?
Yes, Simon.
That works.
I keep calling you Simon. Philip, sorry, because Merritt said his name is not Simon. Yes, Philip. What happened is that the Court of Appeal concretized the legal position as it relates to insurance law in respect of personal injury matters.
Okay.
What it has established is that the contracts of the tenets of contract law must be upheld and abided by. It's like you cannot invoke the benefits of a contract if the provisions of that contract have not been adhered to.
Okay.
Also, the Privy Council decision in the case of Eric Antonio versus Insurance Company of the Bahamas Limited set out the facts that the solution is not for the courts to impose upon insurers liabilities that were not anticipated before. Liabilities cannot be imposed upon insurers to take over an exposure that was not previously determined or previously accounted for under the insurance policy. And it also outlines the fact that if it's not accounted for under the insurance cover or the insurance policy, and it is not accounted for under current legislation, the courts are not to impose a liability on the insurers. Okay,
well then that leads to the next question then. Well, could you then suggest then what are mechanisms that could be instituted to protect innocent parties from these uninsured and unauthorized drivers?
Yes, I think a start would be funding through the Road Traffic Department in tandem with the police department, so that when police officers are doing their jobs, conducting road stops, they are able to readily access information through the Road Traffic Department on who is the named driver on a vehicle. When they usually ask for your identification, they should be able to run through quickly in a system if you are the named driver, if you have insurance linked to the vehicle, and they would actually be able to see whether there's any road infraction against you, the person driving the vehicle. If there is a road infraction, or if you are an unauthorized driver and there's no insurance linked to the vehicle, they are able to impose penalties right then.
We've definitely seen in recent times there have been a lot of accidents, some of them even leading to death. But what legal recourse does an injured party left with the person that's exposed to injury?
If a person is exposed to injury and there is no insurance cover, then the only legal recourse that that person would have is to sue the wrongdoer personally. They could do this if the damage is not more than $5,000 or is capped to $5,000. That legal action could be brought in the magistrate's court. If it is a sum in excess of $5,000, then the legal action could be brought in the Supreme Court. The only unfortunate thing in that regard is if you're dealing with an impecunious, a person who's without means, that would have done you wrong, it is going to be a difficult task to be able to recover damages from that person.
What advice do you give to the attorneys who are advising their clients once they've been satisfied that the insurance company and the policy is in question?
Well, I would have thought the first step as an attorney to do is to write to the insurance company, and that's the usual course, to notify them that this person is believed to be linked to their insurance company and would have been involved in an accident involving their client. If the insurance company writes back and said, well, this person is not linked, or that this person was not covered under an insurance policy, then the attorney should write back and ask to have a copy of the policy if the person should have been named in the policy, just to find out what is the contractual obligation, or if there is none, explain to the client that the policy reflects that the person who was driving actually was not named in the insurance policy and is not linked to the vehicle. Then they look at the next step, which would be to bring legal action against the wrongdoer personally.
Okay, and of course, to complete the loop here, in your opinion, what should the government do to protect innocent third parties?
I believe that the government possibly can shoulder or partner with the insurance industry so as to alleviate the cost burden to get all the technology in place through the road traffic department, or in order to have that information readily accessible in relation to insured vehicles or named drivers. There should be some type of shouldering or partnership with the industry of the insurance companies and the government, so as to help our country to progress beyond this vexing position of having persons injured, but you come to find out that the person who did you wrong is not covered by insurance,
it remains,
or is an unauthorized driver.
Right, it remains a vexing issue, and of course, legalization, or the updating, I should say, of the legislation process, and penalties in particular play a major role.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen, congratulations once again on the work that you guys continue to do.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us again on this segment of Legal Aid.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We've been with partner Providence Law, and you're right, we'll be right back.